Oh my gosh. Hey, Crazy Trade Podcast. That's amazing.
Welcome to the Crazy J Podcast Show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Your main man, aka Crazy Crockett, aka Andre's Podcast. Folks, we got to talk about this trade. Everyone's talking about it. Most people are looking at the Luka, AD, Anthony Davis trade as a team effort between the Dallas Mavericks and the LA Lakers. A lot of people are saying that the Dallas Mavericks gave up on their solid gold player, franchise player. Uh, Other people saying the Lakers needed a boost to help LeBron James win another championship or help the Lakers win a championship. So I'm going to take a different perspective on this. I think, in my point of view, I would think that the NBA, Adam Silva, made this deal. I think Adam Silva and the other NBA ownerships got together and made this deal. And I'll tell you why. First of all, you got Luka and you got Jovic, two European players. Again, Webley, also from France, and other players out as well, like the Greek the Freak. Um, you get European players, and that's what's thriving the NBA. And the Europeans and in other parts of the world, like Philippines and Cameroon, are the highest amount of people watching the NBA as we speak. So, why did he do this? Why did Adam Silva, why did the NBA, why did the other ownerships agree on this deal? 25 years ago, this would have never happened because it would be bad ratings. You can't just take a franchise player and move him over to another team just to make more money. The money would have came in naturally by having natural competition, like Larry Bird, Max Johnson, Isaiah Thomas against Michael Jordan against Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan against himself, Kobe Bryant against Shaquille O'Neal, or with Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant against everyone else. You have Kevin Garnett with the Boston Celtics, came from Minnesota Timberwolves, joined the super team, the first super team, Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. You put them all together, you know, it keeps the league moving up and more popularity became it itself. LeBron James, a phenom in the early 2000s, uh, he just kind of spell out to absolutely no television. Sometimes when you stay in the league too long, regardless if you're healthy and fit and you keep your body in the top condition, it really doesn't matter because LeBron James never had a competition, competitive uh, edge against another competitive player at his level, and they weren't competing for championships. Now, it totally changed with Steph Curry, the Warriors. It was great to see a guy who was like 6'3", a little shorter than the other guys playing in the NBA. Now they're averaging 6'6", 6'8". And then you had Steph Curry just throwing up 3-pointers, and it looked great, looked fun. Um, for the Golden State Warriors. So that looked great, but it ran itself out. And what's happening in the league is that there's no white American players playing in the NBA, and there's no black American players who are phenomenally awesome. When I mean awesome, and it's a word that's been used in the 80s and 90s, no one uses it no more. But back then, you had Michael Jordan flying in the air with his tongue sticking out. You had Dr. J with his smooth afro, smooth outfits and gliding underneath the rim in the backboard against the Lakers and Irvin Johnson and all those guys back in the early 80s. But today's NBA, you get a lot of NBA players who are super tall, super athletic, but they don't fly. They don't have charisma. They don't have grace. They don't have this uh, about them that they want to win a championship. And guess who are winning championship? European players, Luka and Jovic. Now, obviously, one of them won a championship. The other ones weren't earning on the other one, but the ratings for the Europeans and the Philippines and all that is that reason why it's so high. In today's NBA, there's no need for players to play 82 games anymore because they make a lot of money. So when I say this, I'm being honest, and I'm trying to be as honest as I can be as possible. They're trying to save the NBA by making the Lakers out to be a dynasty that's already been a dynasty, and it doesn't. There's not an existence of a new dynasty right now, regardless if LeBron James is there or not. They're earning their. They think that Americans will care more about NBA with the idea of having a white player in LA that will win a championship. They're trying to they're trying to mix that up a little bit. They don't have a white American player who is as good as Luka or as good as Nikola Jovic to at that level. And they know that a lot of people know that. Well, for myself, I think it gets a bad reputation when you have black athletes fighting and getting technicals like Isaiah Stewart and other guys throwing punches at each other when it's not the 1980s and 1990s of the NBA was a physical game in itself. There's no reason for two guys to be throwing elbows and throwing uh, punches at each other because if you allow the player to go in the lane without being touched, there's no challenge to foul that push that person, that player. But it's ironically that when I had on my other podcasts, on my other shows, that I was seeing that they were promoting NBA players, especially among black players, to fight against each other to so that people get all roused up about it, and that's totally wrong. In my theory, that's totally wrong. I don't agree with it. I've never agreed with it. It's not in that era. You're not playing street ball from the 1980s. There's just that style is not there. I think a lot of these players right now understand that they like each other. They're friends. They grew up playing the game with each other. Yeah, I mean, in the farm systems of Kentucky. When I'm saying farm system, I mean college ball and tournaments in the summer league. So these guys are not just playing basketball because they want to win a championship. They understand their assets. They understand their budget. They understand how much money that they can make. And it's true to say that they don't need to fight each other. But what the NBA understands is that if you can't make people fight, then you have to make a choice to make trades that don't make sense. And I'll, for example, Jason Kidd and the GM for Dallas Mavericks, especially Jason Kidd, looked blanked. He looked stunned. He looked like he just got screwed over by a girl that kissed another guy, and he's like, "Wow, this is great." And now he has to talk to a bunch of his so-called friends about that kiss, and he doesn't want to talk about it. It's amazing how and I know I'm using a really weird scenario, and this doesn't make any sense, but he looks like he's stunned, or he doesn't know what to think. He can't say anything against the idea of the trade. He didn't have any idea of the trade. He cannot express his anger in the media, in this any type of media. He can't talk to ESPN. He can't talk to Fox Sports. He can't even talk to his local Dallas networks and say that was a bad trade. And some people may think that it was Kyrie Irving and Luka not getting along, but I don't think that's really the problem. The problem is that if Dallas wins a championship, no one's going to care. That dynasty doesn't really have it. Luka doesn't have that Dirk Nowitzki uh, personality. Dirk Nowitzki had a personality of some guy that everyone was going for, even if he was not a American, even though he was a German uh, a basketball player playing in the NBA. Luka, he's having a lot of fun, no doubt, but he doesn't have that aura about him. Like, oh man, I want to be like Luka. I'd rather be like Dirk because Dirk seems more uh approachable or more fantastic. He had more a fantastic basketball shot, that fadeaway. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get to. But no one would care about Kyrie Irving because Kyrie Irving's a little weird. And it's okay to be weird. Like Kyrie Irving may have other things to think about and other ideas that he may want to pursue after the NBA or in the off season. But late they're hoping someday that it's gonna be LA Lakers against Boston Celtics. You're gonna get the American black man, Jason Tatum, against the Lakers, the villain, Luka from Europe. So it's gonna be the Europeans in the Europe going for the Lakers, and they're gonna be the Americans going go Jason Tatum win a championship for the United States with the Boston Celtics. It's not real. It's not a real competition. What they should have done, well, it's not possible. It's not possible to make competitors when they're not actually competing against each other. That's that's the really bottom line. And Jason Tatum and Luka will never really like. There's no reason for them to go at each other for a championship because it's just too obvious. It's just too obvious. It doesn't matter what Kevin uh uh Durant thinks because he knows it's just gibberish. Even if he said, "Oh, no one's safe," well, it's a business. You gotta remember the NBA is about entertainment, so you can never sue the NBA for miss presentation or miss uh, explanation of why a bad team could be a really good team, and then or why a bad team or a good team sweeps a mediocre team because it's not good. It's not good for the NBA. The NBA doesn't want to see Luka in Dallas winning 3 championships since no one's competing against them. No one wants to see the Boston Celtics win 4 championships in a row because there's no one against Jason Tatum. There's no one. It, to tell you the truth, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to make the Detroit Pistons against the Indiana Pacers because that game with the Indiana Pacers, Isaiah Stewart was ejected for having his elbow and throwing it on the chest of another player for a rebound, and the rebound was maybe 12 feet away from the basket, if I was correct. But they're trying to make it sound like it's Detroit, Malice from the Palace. They're trying to rewrite that script and try and make Isaiah Stewart into a villain. And then they're trying to make the Indiana Pacers into the good guys. But you know what? That's not going to sell to the whole rest of the country. That might sell a little bit to Detroit and a little bit to the Pacerland or to Indianapolis. But that's it. So remember, folks, this trade is not about this trade is not about Dallas Mavericks and the Lakers. This is about the NBA trade. How can the NBA save the viewership in America and still thrive in Europe? That's what you have to look at. And you have to look at what is FanDuel, Caesars, MGM, and all these other websites who gamble on the games. How much money can they make? You know, and that's kind of what it's sad. Well, I mean, I love sports, and as I as I get older, you kind of realize it doesn't really matter, but it's still fun to watch because it's entertainment. So there you go. The Lakers, the Dallas Mavericks trade was not a trade with them on the teams directly trying to make the team better. It was directly from the NBA Adam Silver, the commissioner, to make the NBA more entertaining for non-viewerships. People that would watch the NBA if there's nothing on TV. Nothing. There you go, folks. I'm out. Peace, love, and come and find me on the Patreon, YouTube, uh, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm out of here. Thank you.